Joshua Chavez and Kyrene Chavez. I see Mr. Chavez is here.
I'm here, Your Honor.
All right, and is Kyrene Chavez here? Mr. Chavez, I want to pass on this briefly, okay? It's just been a couple minutes past 9, so I want to give her more time to show up. All right. Next will be Lara Hinton and Jason Hinton.
Yes, I'm here, Your Honor.
And Laura, I'm here.
Thank you. I think last week or the week before, I indicated you needed to bring a motion to set aside a default, and I haven't seen that filed at this point. Any comment on that?
Yeah, I filed that and everything else because I was under the impression I was supposed to that everything up till now that I was supposed to file, I was supposed to get that in there, and I got in there.
It, sir?
Yes, I did. Yes, Your Honor.
And when did you file it?
I didn't get down there until yesterday. It was the only day I was able to get a ride down there. I got everything done and turned in, and then they turned me away. I had to go and get a couple more things the way they wanted it, and I brought it back down and had it filed. I apologize. I thought that they got the second copy. I brought 2 copies. I mailed Laura's. And
did you provide a copy of all that to Ms. Hinton?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. And she
may not receive it.
Mr. Hinton, go ahead, finish, and then Ms. Hinton, I'll go to you.
I also submitted the receipt for the mailing it to her in the court files.
Oh, so you mailed it to her yesterday?
No, I mailed hers prior to that, a couple days, I believe. I don't know what the day was. I was able to mail hers. I wasn't able to get yours filed into the court, until yesterday, but I did.
All right. Ms. Hinton, any response?
Yeah, I haven't received anything. And did you get my declaration on why I wish that the default and the dissolution gets signed? I turned that in like a week and a half ago.
I did get your declaration. I did read it.
Okay.
Do it.
Yeah, I really would like the default to still be in effect and to have my dissolution signed by you, Your Honor.
Okay, I understand that. It's unfortunate that the documents were filed yesterday, but if they were filed, I think they may make a difference on what my decision is. I think the only thing I can do today is put this over another week so that those can get scanned and get into the court file, and then I'll be able to review them. I am not saying that I'm going to set aside the default at this point, but Mr. Hinton represented that he filed a response yesterday. I'm going to create some time so I can at least review that. So
yeah,
that puts us over to the 22nd at 9 o'clock. And I'll try to take this case early on in the morning so we can make a decision. Okay.
Your Honor, I just wanted to apologize to the court for I've been having a tough time getting down there, but thank you for setting it over.
Okay. You're welcome for that. And again, I'm not making any promises by doing that. I do want to review your documentation.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Let's go back to Chapman and Chapman. Brittany Chapman, do you want to unmute yourself?
Sorry, I'm here.
There you go. Thank you. Just letting somebody in. Did you receive any money in the last few weeks?
No. He got actually super upset with me about all of this, and it's turned out to be my fault. Somehow.
That's what he's saying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I've let him know, which is not my job again, multiple times, that courts today, that I've reminded him, like, courts in a couple days, courts tomorrow. Is there, I mean, even if you make an effort, like if you can do anything, I'm sure that you'll, get a little longer, and nothing.
All right, let me just make sure. Is Bryce Chapman with us? All right.
So, I mean.
So let me just, by way of beginning here, we were here on February 1st. At that time, I granted a motion for contempt. I indicated that it could be purged by a payment to you of $3,000 by today. And then I said, if not paid, the court will order jail time. And I set a review hearing for this morning. So before I make that ruling, I want to go through some of the history. On September 28th, 2022, I entered an order of contempt, and the payments owing at that time were $900, $3,700, and $500. That's a total of $5,100. On October 26th, I entered another order of contempt. The payments owing were $900, $250, and $1,000. On December 22nd, I indicated that he had to pay you at least $500 and file a wage statement. Neither of those occurred. On February 1st, I entered another order of contempt in the amounts of $4,400, $1,000, and $1,000. All of those contempt amounts add up to $13,650. The court wants to make clear that it's provided multiple opportunities for Mr. Chapman to pay something.
And he is making a truck payment of over $700, and he is buying cocaine, I found out actually just this last weekend. So he does have money. He just refuses to help with his children or anything in any sort of way. He doesn't think that he'll ever have consequences or needs to be held responsible for anything, unfortunately. I think this is the issue.
So let me say two things. First of all, each of these contempt orders are judgments, and they can be collected like a judgment, which means wages could be garnished and so forth. I can't do that as the court, but that's something you could look into.
I have no clue how to do that. I have tried. I tried to, and I have to.
I understand. You may have to talk to an attorney about doing that.
Yes.
That's the best I can say. What I can do is, with the multiple contempts, including contempt today, I'm going to order that he spend 5 days in jail. I'm not sure when I'm going to order that begin. It'll be sometime between now and 2 weeks from now. And 2 weeks from now is March 1st. So I'm going to set a review on March 1st to see if he's served the jail time. If not, I will issue a bench warrant for his arrest on March 1st. Okay. And we'll see if that changes some attitudes and tries to get some payments made. Okay.
Okay. So between now and March 1st, he can either go, he needs to go serve those 5 days.
Yeah, I'm going to do another contempt order. I'm probably going to say he has to report by this Friday and serve the 5 days. If he doesn't, he can serve after that anytime before March 1st. But if he doesn't serve 5 days by March 1st, then I'll issue a bench warrant.
Okay.
Okay. So why don't you come back here on March 1st and we'll see what has happened by that time. Okay.
Okay. And should I go grab the, sorry for so many questions. When he doesn't show up, it makes me have more questions because I have to also be his parent. So should I go grab these papers, the orders, and send a photo of those to him like I did with the last court date? Or is this not my duty? Otherwise, he's not going to know. But also, it's not my job. I'm overwhelmed with all this stuff that I do as parenting them on my own, anyways.
Right.
And then to tackle his stuff on top of it is.
Well, you're not obligated to do that. If you want to, you can, but I don't think that's your obligation.
I agree. You're right. I'm too nice. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh my goodness. All right.
All right. We will see you back here then on March 1st. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And Joshua Chavez, you're here. Is Kyrene Chavez here? I don't hear her, and just a moment here. All right, Mr. Chavez, you've filed a motion expressing concern that David Sergey has moved into Ms. Chavez's house, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any information or proof that Mr. Sergey and your son has had any contact?
Well, sir, with our court date we had 2 weeks ago, she admitted to court that she moved that David got in and put him on the lease. And then when I asked my son back on Saturday, you know, if he has seen David, he said, yeah, but then he went, shh, like that. And I was like, well, was David around? And he was like, I can't say. I'm like, okay, buddy.
Let me ask you, did you provide this motion to Ms. Chavez?
Yes, Your Honor. She got served and I faxed a copy of it to Tina.
How did you serve her?
My dad served Kyrene when he dropped off Austin, and then I faxed Tina that Wednesday of our court.
Okay, I don't see a declaration signed by the father that was served. And typically I would need to have that before I can make any decisions. Let me say, I understand your concern. I'm a little, right now, I don't know that I see any proof that Mr. Sergey and your son have had contact. I understand he's on the lease, but they could work out something where Mr. Sergey leaves every time your son goes over. I know that sounds, that would be, I suppose, hard to accept that goes on, but right now I don't know what is happening. So I'd like to put this over 2 weeks. I'd like you to have another contempt order or order to go to court for contempt hearing signed for March 1.
The return of service?
Yes.
Yeah, that was my bad. I forgot to get a copy of it.
Okay, so on contempt hearings, I need to know that the person was served, and I don't see that here. Okay. So if you could take that step, and then we'll be back here on March 1st, and we can make some decisions at that time. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chavez.
No, she.
Austin Blacklaw and Dakota Myers.
Present.
We have both here, and also Ms. Turnbull. Good morning. We're
Good
here
morning,
on a
Your Honor.
review hearing. I had ordered telephone visits 2 times a week, and I did enter a restraining order last time we were together. Mr. Blacklaw, have the telephone visits been occurring? Mr. Blacklaw, can you hear me? Let's start with Ms. Turnbull. Have you been in touch with the parties?
I have been in touch with the party, and I originally there had been no contact with the telephone visits. I reached out a second time to Mr. Blacklaw again last week, and he was under the impression, he told me that he needed to pay me and complete the paperwork before he initiated those telephone calls. And I said, no, that was not the case, that he could go ahead and have a third party, go ahead and initiate that. And so he sent me a text and said that that Ms. Myers had contact, phone contact or video contact with Hazel. And so I'm aware of at least one contact last week, and I'm not sure if there's been more.
Okay. Yeah, the order that reflects that was filed on January 25th.
Yes.
Ms. Myers, can you confirm that telephone or video contact has occurred?
Yes, he has gotten in the.
You're really light. You'll need to speak up or get closer to your microphone.
Yes, he has let me have contact with my daughter 2 times. One was on Friday for 5 minutes, and the other one was 2 days ago on Monday for about 25.
Okay. All right. I want those visits to continue. And I see in the schedule that we're due to come back on March 1st for a report from the guardian ad litem. Is that going to be enough time, Ms. Turnbull, to at least advise the court of how things are going, or do you need more time?
I can give I have talked to CPS. I can give you some initial information, but I have not received paperwork back from either mother or father. I emailed them about a little over 2 weeks ago, so they've had it in their possession for about 2 weeks, and I asked them both to return it to me prior to today's hearing. So I don't have that back. So I may need more time. Yes. I can tell you that based on my conversations with, 2 different CPS investigators on both cases, that that Hazel is safe with Dad right now. So that's good news.
I need both parties to return the background information paperwork to Ms. Turnbull. I'm not going to be able to make additional decisions in this case until she can complete her investigation. All right. So do that as soon as possible. Let's set the next hearing out to March 15th. I want to make sure Ms. Turnbull has enough time to talk to everybody. And I want the video visits twice per week to continue during that time. All right, Mr. Blacklaw, will that work with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I have the paperwork all filled out, other than just the initial house come from the other, my significant other. So I can get that filed out and done.
Okay, good. Thank you.
One other
And
thing, Your Honor.
the sooner that gets done, the sooner we can go forward in this case.
Yeah, I was in the process of finding a printer.
Okay.
And
one other thing, Your Honor, both mom and dad had expressed concern about payment, and I don't know if I had suggested that they file a declaration or a motion and financial disclosure about potentially moving this to a county pay case. So that's something that may need to be evaluated.
If you feel you cannot personally pay for Ms. Turnbull or the guardian, then I do need to see a financial declaration, and you can get a form from the clerk's office. This is for both parties, and file that. And on the 15th, I can look at that. And if you qualify, then it's possible the county can pay. But I can't make that decision until I see that declaration. And if you want to give that declaration to Ms. Turnbull and she can forward it to me, I can make that decision possibly before the 15th. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, so things are going to stay the way they are then, and I'll see everybody back here on March 15th. And we'll strike the hearing of that's on for March 1st.
Okay, I have a question.
All right, you're going to have to speak up again. You're coming in really, really light.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So you said for video chats twice a week. Can you clarify if possible? Because the last time it was phone call and video. Is it video now? Because I would honestly prefer video over phone call, because my daughter can barely even understand me or see me or even know who I am. So the video calls would be a lot easier for my daughter to know who she's talking to. Because I'm getting like the bare minimum on phone calls to talk to my kid, and it's not okay after not seeing her and being completely ripped from my daughter. So yeah.
Mr. Blacklaw, any concern about doing this through video?
We are trying to get the Zoom thing and everything downloaded on my mom's phone so she can do the video chat and everything, because I can't do it through my phone because of the restraining order. So I have to go through my mom, and she's tracking down an old computer and then making it work. Okay. And then you can provide the link or the Zoom link or whatever program you're to Ms. Myers. I'd like that to be accomplished in the next week so that all the visits after that can be by video. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. All right. So Ms. Myers, we're going to do our best to have those be video visits going forward.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. All right. I think that's it on that case. We'll see you back here on March 15th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor, and Amy, for your time today.
Thank you. You bet. Appreciate it. All right. Stephen Utter and Kirby, it looks like goes by Kirby Young now. Ms. Young?
Yes.
All right. Good morning. Mr. Utter, can you hear me okay?
I can. Good morning, Your Honor.
All right. Good morning. Mr. Etter, this is your motion to have some visitation with your son, I believe.
Correct.
Do you want to address that first? And then I'll let Ms. Young respond, and then I'll have some questions after that. So,
yeah, basically I'm asking the courts for a little bit of help in receiving some type of visitation with him because we're unable to do it amongst each other, ourselves. This started back in March. I didn't have a relationship with Parker for 10 years of his life.
can you tell me why?
Yeah, I can. So Kirby and I were together 10 years ago. I was going through a divorce. I have 3 kids of my own. And my ex at the time was diagnosed bipolar disorder. And Kirby had gotten pregnant, and she had threatened very, very lewd acts as far as killing Parker if he ever came around.
That was your ex?
My ex.
The ex-wife?
Correct. My ex-wife, which I have 3 kids with.
Okay.
And at the time, Kirby was pregnant, and Kirby and I ended up separating because of the fact that my ex-wife was bipolar, and I feared for my kids, my other 3 kids, what she might do to them. So I went back with her. Parker was born. I was unsure at the time if Parker was actually mine or her ex's, Ty Lou Ellen, pending a paternity test, which we later got a paternity test, finding out 99.9% Parker is my child. At that point, they had asked me to step away from his life, pending Autumn, my ex, being part of in my household. They didn't want Parker. She didn't want Parker around her in fear for his life. I agreed, as long as I was with her, that Parker would not be there. And I kind of just unwillingly, thinking it was the best thing to do to protect my 3 kids as well as Parker, allow them to be part of, I guess, their life and not part of mine at the time, in his best interest. Fast forward 10 years later, late March, Kirby came to me, said that there was an issue with her now ex, Ty. Kirby called about abusive situation at Ty's house. Parker was scared. She then told me that he was going to tell Ty that Parker was, or tell Parker that Ty was not his dad and I was his dad. Fast forward a couple of weeks, it was around April 14th, I believe. She had reached out to me. She said Parker had an awards ceremony, an assembly at school. I was allowed to go there to see him. She asked if I would take pictures of him. So on the 15th, that's what I did. Cool. After his school, I went with him and Teresa Utter, who is my mom, to Dairy Queen to get ice cream, as well as my Aunt Kendall was there. So that was the first day I got to see Parker and meet Parker. Would have been April 15th, I believe, 15th or 16th. Parker spent the early summer.
Where's your ex-wife at this point?
We are not together. I have been a single dad of my 3 kids since October 2020.
Okay.
This is not about her, but since then she has been in and out of institutions and hasn't done well. My kids have recently started getting a relationship with her now after this point.
Okay. So April 15th, go to the award ceremony and then to Dairy Queen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
That was my first time meeting him. And mind you, we had talked about meeting, how to go about it, how to tell Parker, do we go to a counselor? You know, how do we arrange this?
How did Parker handle that?
The very first introduction?
Well, tell me about the Dairy Queen trip.
Okay. So he was fine. I have text messages actually telling Kirby, who was texting me while we were there. He was a little shy. We were talking about football because he loves football. We were talking about his school and stuff. He handled it well. I mean, he didn't come out like, oh, you're my dad. You know, nothing like that, Your Honor. But he handled it well. We joked around. We laughed.
And he's 10 now?
Correct.
Okay. Tell me about any other contacts.
Sure, absolutely.
After that.
So we spent the early summer with Parker Forgive me, I just have some quick notes that I jotted, not full sentences. I'll try to complete them for you. We spent the early summer with Parker at family events until he began to get comfortable enough to ride his bike to my house to hang out with myself and my other kids, including my other kids. I have a living girlfriend, and her son, Braxton, who is the same age as Parker, who they play football with, ride bikes with, go to school with. They all have the same friend group as well. So that's another reason why he was here.
So during the summer, how often would he ride his bike over to your house?
So I'm kind of getting to there. There was a time when we moved houses, and we're within 3 blocks of each other now. Prior to us moving, we were a block away. We were down the street from each other. There was events where we met at the school, which is in between my old house and their present house. I gave him football cleats for football. At that time, my other boys were with me, my 2 boys. We ended up having a 2-on-2 game, Parker and I against the 2 brothers. It was almost, I wouldn't say weekly, maybe bi-weekly.
Okay.
It was sporadic. We didn't have any set structure, and that's why we're here to ask the courts for some kind of set structure.
All right.
When I moved in here to this current address, he was here for about a 9-day stretch every single day. He was coming over, eating dinner, like I said, playing football, riding bikes. He'd just walk in without knocking, very comfortable, joking around with everybody. He has his own chair. I'm sorry.
I assume during this time you're in touch with Ms. Young, just kind of usual. Parker over here. Parker's about to come home. We're going to take Parker out for ice cream, things like that.
You're 100% correct in that.
Okay.
So he was over here. There was times when I'd ride his bike or he would ride his bike and I'd follow him home. There was a time when she had called and said, "Hey, I'm going to Walmart. Can Parker stay there for a little bit?" "Yeah, no problem. I'll come get him after." She came after. One day in particular, we were playing football on the street. She played football with us. My current girlfriend came out, introduced herself. Everything was fabulous. Like, we're going to co-parent. Everything's going to be fine. The next day I get a text saying she liked my girlfriend. It was weird, but, everything was good. And then, he'd been over several times since then.
When's the last time you've seen Parker now?
So the last time I saw him at my house, I've seen him at my parents' house, but the last time at my house was October 8th, I believe. I'm sorry. It was last time he was willingly here, not willingly, on his own, was October. Christmas, he came for gifts and stuff with my family, which I'm trying to think of the date because we celebrated after Christmas because we were denied before Christmas. So it was somewhere around, shortly after Christmas that he was able to come over.
Okay. And you haven't seen him since then?
He had my girlfriend's son. No, I have not seen him. But my girlfriend, my girlfriend's son got an award at school this last week before. And Parker also received an award, and we got pictures with both he and Braxton.
Together,
correct.
Okay.
I have multiple other times, if you want, that he came over, or we met, or had dinner, or.
I think I have a sense of what's going on. I'd like to hear from Ms. Young now. Ms. Young, I guess I'd like to hear your sense of what's going on or what went on with it.
Some of that is true. So the issue with his ex-wife, I guess, was she didn't like me, and I did fear for Parker. But also Stevie didn't want to pay child support and has never paid child support for Parker or offered any help for Parker in 10.5 years. And Ty, my ex-husband, has raised Parker and has been the father role in Parker's life. Everything was going, I would say, good with Stevie, and he got to where he wanted Parker, I want him this amount of time or whatever. And I'm like, you have to take it slow for Parker. And Parker would see Stevie's family. And the Christmas thing, he wasn't denied to not go over there. Stevie and his girlfriend and his other children were on vacation. Parker did go over to Stevie's families for Christmas Eve, I believe. Parker has chosen not to go. When I've asked him why, he just doesn't feel comfortable. And I think Stevie, in the nicest way, doesn't understand. Parker's well aware of, the situation. And I think it was a lot for him, for Parker to take on. And Stevie himself is very controlling and wasn't being patient, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the switch for him was regarding Parker. But I've never denied Parker to not go. I'm the one that told Parker that Stevie was his father.
It sounds like, at least according to Mr. Utter, that at some point you were the one that reached out to him to have him have contact with Parker. You're the one that asked him to go to the award ceremony.
Yep. So within counseling, leading up to me telling him who his father was, and it was advised that he has every right to know. Now, they didn't really explain to me how to go about it, and didn't really.
Well, tell me about the counseling. What did both you and Mr. Utter go, or you just?
No, just Parker? Me and Parker went. And they didn't I don't know how to, they didn't tell me how to, I needed to tell him, but they didn't tell me say ABC to him. And so I did. I had sat Parker down and, told him I felt bad. And I think Parker's last name. So, and my other kids have their last name. So I knew he was picking up on it. And so I did. I told him, Ty's not your dad. He's been a great, dad for you, and you can still continue that relationship, which he has. He still goes over there and sees Ty. To him, that's still dad. I will never take that from Ty.
What would you like to see happen, Ms. Young?
I think that the visits to start out with need to be supervised. Stevie has a very, I guess you could, in a nice way, shady past of being violent. I don't want to put Parker in a situation where he could get hurt or, anything of that sort. I want them to have a relationship. I think, that is needed. That's Parker's father. But I think it needs to start slow. I mean, I've never asked Stevie for anything in almost 11 years, and great that he got him Christmas presents. This was the first time in Parker's life that he ever has. And great that he got him football cleats, but he's never been there prior. No award ceremonies has he ever gone to, and it's not like he's offered anything either. It's not.
You mean financially?
Yeah. I mean, even I had talked to him, and I'm sure he saved the text of, you need to help financially. And that seemed to be the time that he kind of was like, well, I want time with them. I want this and this and this. And I was like, whoa, Parker's well aware of the situation. Calm down, let him ease into it. I mean, that my biggest thing is that's a lot for a little kid to take on. And he's never going to not talk to Ty. And I know that's hard for Stevie, as far as having two dads, I guess. But I wouldn't take that from Ty or Parker.
Okay. Is your marriage to Ty dissolved at this point, or are you just separate?
No, we are officially divorced now. And Ty still helps me with Parker. He helps me get him school clothes for, back to school. He's helped with, things throughout the year, Christmas presents. Every birthday, Ty's always done something special with him.
Okay. Mr. Utter, same question. What would you like to see happen?
Your Honor, may I rebuttal a little bit of that, of what was just said?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have text messenger. I would love for Ty and Parker, I agree with them having a relationship. I've never once not said that. I do have messages from her saying Parker will never go to Ty's house because of a violent incident that occurred.
That was sorry.
That was finish. Okay.
Yeah. That was absolutely not between Parker and Ty. That was between Ty and the older sibling. but Parker was terrified for his life. He took his little sister down to the basement. I have all this in text from her. I also have in text that Parker will never be going over to Ty's. He verbally abuses kids, and what he does to them, Parker will not go there at all. But I would like to talk to Ty and tell Ty I am not opposed to Parker and him having a relationship. That is his father for the last 10 years. I understand that completely. I actually one time went to their house and dropped off Christmas presents, and Ty had come out and talked to me and said, do not come around here. We don't need you. We don't want you here, yada, yada, yada. And I thanked him for being a father and stepping up for Parker when I couldn't, because they had asked me to step out because of my crazy ex. Third, she's claiming now I've never paid anything. I actually did pay her mom via PayPal $150, which we agreed because I was out of work at the time. At which time I paid, and I said, okay, I'd like to go to a bank somewhere, get a notary saying I've paid child support and I will continue to pay this until I go back to work. When I go back to work, we can agree on something more. I asked for at that time, if I'm paying the child support, if I can have a more structured visitation, which I believe is normal for the state of Washington and normal for the courts once you pay child support to then put visitation. Kind of gone through this with my other 3 kids, and that was the case at the time. I could be wrong, Your Honor, and I'm sorry if I am, but that's what I asked Kirby to go get things notarized. That point, I never heard from her. And in my opinion, that is when things started to where I wasn't seeing Parker as much. He wasn't allowed to come around as much, or whatever the case may be. I've never, as far as being violent and stuff, I mean, she's the one who came out and introduced and originally pushed for Parker to come around. Now, if I was that violent, I don't know why that would ever happen. Your Honor, what I'd like to see is what I have on there, the parenting plan, being part of a negotiating committee and stuff, what we do with contracts, right? We shoot for the stars, we hope for the best, and then we meet in the middle. And that's kind of what I'm doing with this parenting plan. This is what I'd like to see, but I'm asking the courts to get some kind of visitation just to start the facilitation of the relationship. And I do not believe supervised is a necessary way to go, just because, so this was March, we're working on almost a year now of Parker coming around, Parker playing with my kids, Parker having his own chair in my loft here, Big Joe chair to watch movies and to hang out. And he's aware of it. He's used them. He sat there. Like I said, he was comfortable coming into our house freely without knocking, making fun of his other brothers. So, Your Honor, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see one day we live within 3 blocks of each other. We live within the school district. One day, I really hope that we can share what I've asked, share this split custody, if you will. That's my goal.
Can I say one more thing?
One more, and then I'm going to tell you how to proceed. Okay.
He has, Stevie does have a violent past. He has assault charges against fighting cops here in Woodland when they were trying to arrest him.
I'm not going to litigate.
Okay.
One's past at this point, and I'll tell you why. It may be relevant, but it's not something that I'm going to address today.
Okay.
So I want to say a couple general things. First of all, I appreciate Mr. Utter wanting a relationship with his son, even though there was a large gap. It sounds like at every point he was trying to do what he thought was in the best interest of his son, even when it meant him not having a relationship with him. And I want to recognize Ms. Young, who is open to now Mr. Utter having a relationship with Parker. And the question is, how do we get there? And I think the hesitancy at this point is Parker is probably and understandably a little bit confused about things, and has started to pull back, has said he doesn't want to see Mr. Utter. And I think we need to be sensitive to that. I have been through, I've been doing this docket for a little over a year. I've been through about 6 of these kind of situations, and I want to prepare everybody for what the way I approach it. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is appoint what we call a guardian ad litem to investigate the situation and advise me. The guardian ad litem will do some investigation into any violent activities in the past that may be concerning, and will advise the court about that. Next, the guardian ad litem will recommend some type of visitation schedule that typically will start with a little less visitation and then ramp up to more visitation. And the guardian ad litem may recommend counseling. To get from here to kind of a more normal parenting plan, which could be every other weekend, some days during the week, is probably going to take 6 months to a year. I want everybody to recognize that it's not something that we're going to do today. It's not something that will happen right away.
Okay.
Before I hear from the guardian ad litem, I'm not going to have Parker and Mr. Utter see each other, because I want to get a sense from the guardian ad litem how we should take those steps. And I want to make sure Parker is protected when we do that. Okay. So Mr. Utter, I know you're going to be frustrated by that. And I've told that to...
I am.
I know. I've told that to a number of people. And I will say out of the 6 of these that we've had to do a reunion kind of program with, a reunification program, 5 of them worked out great. And I think yours is going to work out great.
There's no doubt, Your Honor, it will work out great. I'm sorry for interrupting. I just, after having almost a year with him, I didn't think we would need this, but I respect the court's wishes.
I understand. But I think we need to approach this in a way that we make sure that Parker is protected.
That he's number 1, Your Honor. You're correct.
Okay. So that is my entire focus of all of this, even though, Mr. Utter, you're going to be frustrated and maybe frustrated with me, but I want you to know my overall goal is to create an environment where you can have a good relationship with your son. Okay.
Absolutely.
So then we usually pick the first person on the list, and this is a rotating list, so that the guardian ad litems are appointed essentially randomly. So I'm going to appoint Twyla Corey as the guardian ad litem. Two more things. Mr. Utter, because you were out of Parker's life for a while, and now you're wanting to come back in, I'm going to have you be responsible for the guardian ad litem fee. And you'll need to talk to Ms. Corey about it. And secondly, I think potential child support is an issue. So before we meet next time, and we'll pick a time to get back together, I would like both parties to file with the court their 2021 tax return. And I don't know, Ms. Young, if you're working, but if you are, I would like both parties to file 3 months of their wage statements with the court also. Okay.
I've already filed my W-2. I've been off of work due to injury for the last month now, and then prior to that for 5 months last year. So I don't have consistent pay stubs, but I can turn those in.
Okay, whatever you can turn in, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Right. I think we're gonna have to get together in a month. That'll give Ms. Corey some time to contact both of you and just have a preliminary thought about what's going on. At the end of the month, what I'm going to consider is some sort of video contact between Parker and Mr. Utter. Okay. But I want to hear from Ms. Corey before I make that final decision. But I want you to know what my thoughts are at this point. Okay.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know if there's any relevance in it, but as far as like I'm really active in the community. I'm an assistant wrestling coach helping with Little League Baseball. I don't know if Parker's part of that or will be. I know he showed interest in sports before. Is there any conflict there?
So I'm not putting in any kind of protection order to keep you away from Parker.
Right.
What I'm not doing is I'm not ordering visitation or telephone contact. But if you're up with your girlfriend at the same school and you run into him, you certainly can say hi.
Sure. And he does run around with his friends. He's around the neighborhood often, and we say hi and everything else all the time. So I just want to make sure that's
hi. And and ask him how his day's going. I don't see a problem with that.
Is he allowed to come over if he wanted, or
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm ready for him to spend time in your house right now.
Oh, okay.
All right. Miss Young, help me out here. What I've heard from you is that Parker is feeling somewhat uncomfortable, but yes. I imagine a scenario where the other young gentleman that lives with Mr. Utter and Parker are doing something together and they want to both go into Mr. Utter's house and continue their play. Is that something you would be concerned about at this point?
I think if somebody could let me know, so I know that he's in somebody's house, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm fine with that as long as somebody could send me a text or something. And Stevie has my phone number. So,
Your Honor, she's not opposed to that. So I don't know why.
I need to start with the guardian ad litem report.
Okay, very good.
I know you're going to be frustrated with me.
I know, very good.
If the time at your house just kind of happens because the kids are playing, then it sounds like that's okay. But let him know right away if he's over there.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
So I have one question with the guardian ad litem. Do I reach out to her or?
No, sure. I'm going to provide your contact information and she will reach out to you. One of the first things they'll do is send you some forms to fill out. And the sooner you can get that back, the sooner we can get this moving forward.
Okay.
Again, I appreciate you both being here. I appreciate everybody's cooperation. And I'll see you back here on March 15th.
March 15th.
We'll make some additional decisions, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And I think that's it for today.